Is he away with the premiership? Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside. Richards pursued. He pushes Jensen away. Pat Richards has scored.
G'day guys, welcome to the Catbros. I'm Ryan, and with me of course is Aaron.
Hello.
I'm actually particularly excited tonight. We're doing the top four. So you can imagine my excitement tonight. Panthers premiers. Yes, we get to talk about it again. Aaron's particularly
and you
keen.
can imagine my disdain.
No. Jokes aside, I'm actually excited because we have Peter Lang from the Western Weekender out there at Penrith coming on a bit later. And yes, I do actually read all their stuff, so it's really cool. Fanboying a bit about that one. So tonight we will go through, we're going teams 1 to 4, reverse order though, so don't get confused. We will be starting with Manly tonight, who had an interesting, yes, Eagle Rock, which reminds me now that that band, the Eagles, are getting older. Do they call them the Bald Eagles?
I mean, probably. It would work. Although the bald eagle is a very fearsome animal in America.
Yes, they love themselves. They are the Bald Eagle. All right. So, yeah, we'll get straight into it because I'm actually keen to talk about some of these teams. I think it's a bit more challenging the higher you go when you start looking for downsides. It's like, they had such good seasons. You're like, oh, yeah, maybe. You're like, what am I doing? But Manly, I don't think. Yes, Manly. The first one, I don't think it's actually one of those. I think they have a definitive downside, which when we get there, we'll get there. But first question off the rank, where did we predict Manly to finish?
I had them pretty similar to where they finished last year. The question, I think, on everybody's lips was, can Tom Trbojevic stay fit, or is he going to go back and break his ankles again in the shower?
How embarrassing.
So I had them like around that 10th or 11th.
Yes.
Was my predicted finish for Manly, because I was like, yeah, they'll win some games, but how many will Turbo miss?
Yeah.
And how badly will it affect them?
Yeah. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but Jesus, that was. I think most people were thinking that. Hey, I like you look online and everything. Everyone's like, "Oh, Manly going to be a bit crap," but whatever they did, and maybe they get like sacrificed a reserve grader and stole his like hamstrings or something, because I don't know, because he came good. But yeah, no, I had similar questions. I don't know. I was trying to go into the year not thinking like bad thoughts and predict ladders and whatnot. So it's like
there was so many unknowns. There were so many unknowns with Manly for me. I just didn't know. They were one of those teams I just didn't know where to place them.
Yeah. Kind of where I was going, and my brain turned off because it's like, how do you pick them? They were up and down under Barrett, and they looked a bit odd. Like they had, they're a bit of a mixed team, and then there's Turbo's injuries, and you're like, oh, well, what's going to happen with them? They're very hard to pick, and that was what led to a lack of confidence. And then they made the 4, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? What are you doing?
Yeah, so, that was a wild start to their season.
Well, I mean, if just because I'm itching to get to that part, that's the big part I wanted to talk about with Manly myself is, what was the low light of their season? That first part of the year, what was it? Was it 4 games? That first month of the year? Yeah. I thought so. And there were articles coming out about Des needing help and getting in another coach to, help him out and all that sort of stuff. And they looked absolutely shot. Which, of course, everyone going into the season, not sure what to make of them and being a bit not confident, it just fed straight into that. It's like, throwing fuel on a house fire.
Yeah, and it just sparked them.
Yeah, and then Turbo came back and was not injured most of the time. And the rest is history, so I don't know, it's crazy. It's still, like, I wonder, though, out of that, what Manly and Manly fans make of Des, right? Because a lot of that was put down to, oh, hey, Shadow Creeper 100. Gave us a little what's up emoji.
Yeah, that's my mate who I told you subbed the other day.
Well, hello, welcome. Yeah, like, as I was saying, like, so Turbo coming back is what basically did the magic for them, right? So are they still confident in Des at all?
Yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know. It started to seem like the place was burning down in spectacular fashion, and
It was
they had been so set
crisis.
on. Yeah, like they were so set on Des being the right person, and all of a sudden, there are calls for his head to roll.
Like, he went from being sacked to, oh, he may win the comp. And it's like, so I don't know. And if I haven't looked at it, it might be an interesting little project later. Go back and look at his non-Turbo record for this year.
I think they lost almost all the games they played without him.
Like
Almost.
We had, Trevor on last week talking about Brad Arthur. I mean, Des has got away with it from making the top 4. It's difficult to sort of come under negative scrutiny when you do that, unless your name's Anthony Griffin and you're coaching Penrith. But I
That's
don't know.
neither here nor there.
Yeah, but it's like, and even there was more off-field stuff than anything. I don't know. I'd be concerned, like, if Turbo goes down at any point, that's kind of like their season done, really.
Mm.
Like, I didn't see anything to shatter that expectation, I guess you'd call it. Which, I guess, probably feeds into question number 2 that we have from, yes, we went out of order a bit, but I was just itching to get to that one. Because I haven't seen anyone mention that, which is the weird part, right? Like, I'm just sitting here with, sleep-deprived brain, and I'm like, hey, Des. And I haven't seen a single person mention it yet. So it was just...
Yeah, that was me, like, most of the season, and towards the back end of the season, even I was still pointing it out, like, how did this happen? Like, what?
Yeah. So, question 2, what is the highlight of their season? I mean,
I'd probably say the demolition of the Eels in round 22, the 56-10 walloping they handed them.
Yeah, that's pretty good if you want to pick out an individual game. I think it was that Cowboys game. I think was definitely a highlight game for them. That's the one where they got, I think that was the try of the year, came from that one.
Oh yeah, the final round.
That was
insane.
That was good football to watch. I mean,
you might remember that try and that conversion gave me the exact margin tip for that game in my tipping.
Oh yes.
But you also look, they had a 3-round stretch where they scored 50 points in 3 consecutive games from rounds 14, 15, and 16. Where they absolutely pumped the Cowboys, the Titans, and the Bulldogs. And that one where they pumped the Titans was the one where they murdered them 46-0 or whatever it was in the second half.
Yeah. They had a lot of games like that. It's kind of hard to actually pick one out because they did that a lot to teams.
It's funny though, you look at those first 4 weeks of the season and the points they conceded in that short space of time. They barely came close to conceding anything near that for the rest of the year, bar a couple of high-scoring games.
Yeah, which is, but I guess that's the way the 60 game worked. If you were the one in possession, if you were the one scoring the tries, it was hard to sort of wrestle that momentum back. That was one of the big complaints, I think, the
Yeah,
team
you were
that
almost unstoppable at that point.
Yeah, so that was one of the big complaints this year. So it was easier to not concede points if you were the one with the ball, basically, and the one scoring the tries. So, which one of my big problems with it is the fact that they took away scrums. Yes, we don't have proper scrums, but at least it gave playmakers the time to slow things down and catch their breath and sort of read a game. But apparently playmaking is against the rules these days.
Yeah, clearly.
Like, they're supposed to be game managers, and they took that out of the game. That really irritates me. But the next one's going to be a really challenging one. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a wide variety of answers.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to answer this one. This one's a toughie. I mean, honestly, I don't have a clue.
Dally M. I mean, literally the MVP for the entire competition. Guy has the award to show it. So,
was it the most dominant Dally M win in recent memory, or was it like tied for most dominant in regards to points?
Well, considering he only played. He played 15 games? Was it 15 or 16 games or something? So
that sounds about right.
He didn't even have a full season. I'd say it has to be one of the most dominant we've ever seen. And yes, question 4, which player was the club's MVP in our opinion? Obviously, Tom Turbo.
Yeah, you can't say anyone else.
You can't say anyone. It's physically
You'd be
impossible.
lying if you said anyone else.
Like, I'm pretty sure, yeah, if you said anyone else, the ghost of Manly past would show up and probably knife you in your sleep. Like, that's like, it'd just be not rugby league like that.
So he played 18 games in 2021, but that includes the finals. And he played in all 3 of those. So, yeah, 15 games.
Yeah, so 15 games for his Dally M score. Like, that was ridiculous year.
I think in every game that they won, or almost every game that they won, he got 3 points. Like, how many? What did he finish with? Like 36 points or something?
It was ridiculous. I don't remember
for
the exact
15
number,
games.
but it was. He probably would have got one of the highest scores ever if he played every game this year.
36 points over 15 games. You're averaging over 2 points per game, so you're getting 3s and not much else.
and then you look at Origin too, where you're not collecting Dally M points. How he played there too, like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's ridiculous how good that guy is.
Let me actually try and see if I can see the Dally M 2021 points. Curious how many 3s he actually did pick up.
Yeah. It'd have to be most, if not all, the games he played, surely. I can't actually remember him having it like a specifically bad game.
No, he really didn't.
Like,
he finished with 35.
Close. Because we beat them the second game we played against them. He played for them and we beat them, but he still played well and they came quite close to us.
I can't find anything. I'll keep looking.
One of those things that are a mystery. And NRL needs to be better at stat collecting while we're like displaying their stats while we're on that. Actually, they're really bad at it. Like, you get a few basic things here and there, but like presenting information isn't their strong suit. And now it's probably going to get worse with the fact that the digital side of NRL is being cut down in favor of Nine and Fox. Yay. Question 5, promising rookie. Can we say Tom Turbo for that? I mean, he's like the whole team at this point, isn't he?
I mean, yeah, it's almost like they had 17 Tom Turbos out there every round.
Honestly,
something about that seems very illegal, but anyway.
We'll call these new hamstrings rookie of the season.
With how good he is, it's a bit. Yeah, it seems like a little bit illegal to have so many Tom Turbos out there.
You're almost breaking the salary cap if you just send him out there.
I mean, you probably are. I think he's pretty bloody close to it.
The new name, the one that stands out to me is Schuster. Is that how you pronounce it?
Schuster, yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's specifically. Did he play last year?
I think he did, but I think you're still considered a rookie if you've played a small amount of games.
Yeah, at least at the minimum, up and comer, I guess. New guy to the team who's sort of working his way through into a first grade. I think that's the best way to explain him. He's the one that caught my eye, really.
Let's see how many games he's played in his career. Where are you hiding, Schuster? There you are. Okay. He debuted in 2020. He played one game in 2020, so he absolutely a rookie.
I thought so. I knew I wasn't going crazy. I was like, because that name was
21 games in 2021.
Yeah. So yeah. So there. That's for me. How would you answer?
Say him as well, but I'm just checking one other player. Alakawatu.
Oh yeah.
Not as young, but still absolutely a rookie. The way he went out and he almost became a household name with the way he played. Yeah. He was probably one of the most damaging second rowers out there. I think he's a second rower.
Hello, Aqueous Bear 5.
Yeah, he's a second rower.
And Ash is in the chat too. We've got 3 people in the chat. The record.
It's a party.
Woo! Typical. See, Turbo even gets more people in the chat. Is there anything this guy can't do? Oh, kidding, Turbo. We love you. As long as you're playing for New South Wales as well.
Say only when we only don't love you when you're playing against our teams.
Oh, most terrifying thought in the world. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's probably going to give players nightmares next year. Oh crap, we're playing Manly this weekend.
Do they have sick days in the NRL? Ash, thoughts on Sharks signing Ikavalu? I mean, it's that time of year, isn't it? It's going to happen a lot. I mean,
November 1, how we missed thee.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, that's why I said that in the thing. It's like we get that time of year, and it's crazy because you have the actual signings, then you have the rumored signings, and then you have the stuff you know is absolutely bonkers and never going to happen, but the journos are putting it out there anyway, and you're like, okay, ooh, it's party time in the NRL.
Like how the journos are still trying to ship Brooks off here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, and the one that just came out the other day was Ponga is gonna leave Newcastle for like $20 billion for Redcliffe or something, for the Dolphins. Sorry, oops, I called them Redcliffe.
Yeah, don't call them Redcliffe. That's
that's
no-no. Offensive, apparently.
Bad words. It's not my fault. I grew up not that far from them, so I know them as it just naturally comes at Redcliffe. I need someone to like whack me with a stick every time I say it, just so I remember. I'll learn eventually. Is Pierce leaving? I'll just give him a call. No, I'm joking.
No.
It's hard to know, honestly, because it sounded really definitive in the stuff I read where it's like, yes, he's asked. They're just waiting on someone, which is where the Brooks thing came from.
Or is it just his manager who's asked? Or is it just his manager who's shopping him around?
See, that's the thing. We as fans have no idea. It could just be player managers getting in the media and putting stuff out there, trying to see what's going to bite, like a little fishing trip, you know? So it's honestly really hard to know as a fan. All right, question 6. Our early thoughts on how they're shaping for 2022.
I mean, It's really hard to see them slipping unless Turbo goes back to his brokenness,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. I've got them 5th.
Yeah, I'll agree with that for now.
And that's purely because of the Roosters getting better again with
That was kind of creepy.
Kiri.
That was creepy. I thought the same thing. I'm like, I'm seeing anything the exact same thing because the Roosters ended up where they were because of the injuries next year. And then they're not going to go, 2 or 3 years in a row with the same injury toll. Plus, they're getting Momorowski next year as well. So they've at least got themselves a centre now that Morris is gone. So the Roosters will be back in the top 4 again, unless they have another year like that, which I'm not banking on.
Yeah. Which, like I said, it's hard to see them dropping down, but I literally don't think 5th is going to be dropping down next year. 5th is going to be essentially a top 4 team. Like those top 5 will be top 4 teams. And unfortunately, only 4 of them will be able to fit up there. And the one, in my opinion, is going to miss out is Manly.
Yeah. Well, I think their big weakness this year was those top teams. So we beat them, Melbourne beat them, stuff like that. And obviously our Roosters at full strength, I'd back them to beat them.
Rabbits beat them too, but I think the Rabbits only played them once, and that was in that first 4 weeks when they had no Tom.
So that's probably a bit different, but still the way South played in the finals, whether they would win or not, I would at least not be surprised if South beat them. Like I might call it 50-50, I don't know, but I think South will be good enough to beat them if they put the effort in. So 5th makes a lot of sense to me.
That's well rested going into that game with the week off from beating you guys in week 1 as well. So I reckon that plays a factor.
Yeah, though we do talk about South later, does have another question of, are we going to lose one out of the top 4? So I'm not entirely convinced this year's top 4 is going to be the same again. See. All right. Yeah, so I think we're pretty much agreed on that one. Just happens a lot, I guess, and it seems to happen more and more the higher up the ladder you go. I guess as teams get more consistent and easier to read, I find that
there's really not too much to disagree on up here.
Yeah, it's a bit it's nice sitting up here, and the air's a bit thinner, but it's a nice view though.
Stop rubbing it in.
I'm not rubbing. I'm talking about the Storm, of course. What other team could be up here that we're talking?
Yes, the Storm. The freaking Storm.
Oh, yes. They don't even know what it's like to lose it. That final must have been ridiculous for their fans.
Oh, I remember, I think it was 2018, after round 5, when they had lost to the Tigers for the second time, and they had also lost to the Sharks. And they were, I think they were sitting 9th after round 5. Their fans were screaming blue murder. There was one who was like, I'm going to tear up my membership. Like, you're sitting 9th after 5 rounds of a 26 round season. Like, what? Shut up.
It's time to burn the jerseys.
I just couldn't believe what I was reading. Like, yeah, you'd lost to the Tigers. Yeah, that's fucking embarrassing to say the least. But you're a champion team. You had a slow start to the season, and like they came good, but it just baffled me. Like you're gonna
they're not used to it.
Go in screaming at your team like that, saying you're gonna tear up your membership when you've lost 3 games in the first 5 weeks. And if how many games did they go on to lose over the rest of the season? Let me check that little fact.
And while he's checking that, I think I might actually amend my thing. I think South might drop because obviously Reynolds. Oh, I didn't see this, Ash. I think Rabbits miss out on the 4. Losing Reynolds is big. Yeah, so there you go. He's pretty much read my mind with that one. So I think we'll probably replace South with Manly in the top 4. And then, but I don't think they won't. I think they'll be in 4th at best.
Yeah, I'm finding South's very tricky to decide whether I drop them or not.
Yeah.
But we
I
can get more into discussing that a little later on.
Like, they're losing Bennett, they're losing Reynolds. Like, even if they're not like bad or anything, like they can still have a good year. I just think they're losing a bit of that edge. Like, they're going to have at least 1 or 2 rookies in the spine. I mean, it's
Okay, here it is.
Ooh, you found it.
The Storm went on to lose 8 games for that season, so they finished with a 16-8 record. So in the first 5 rounds, they lost 3, and in the next 21 rounds, they lost another 5. So
that's just heartbreaking.
oh, absolute fucking tragic. What I wouldn't give for my team to have a season like that, honestly.
I know, right? That's insane.
And like, they finished second. They finished in a 3-way tie for first.
Yeah.
Roosters took them on a premiership. Actually, no, they finished in a 4-way tie for first. All of the top 4 teams finished with a 16-8 record. While every team 5th to 8th finished with a 15-9.
Yeah.
And that lopsidedness up there was why there was a 6-point gap between the Warriors and the Tigers, who finished 12-12.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't get it, but hey.
It was just baffling to me. Like, you're going to rip your team to shreds after you lose 3 of the first 5 games.
The only thing I can put it down to is they're just not used to it. Which, fair enough.
Yeah,
and that is
failing.
Not a great start to a year, but it's the Storm. You'd be like, okay, we know at some point things are going to click and they're going to go on a run, which obviously happened. They didn't lose too many more of the rest of the year, which you said the record earlier. So, all right, where did we predict them to finish? Obviously, top 4.
They were my minor premiers.
They were a lot of people's minor premiers. Like, they were last year's grand finalists.
At least I got that right. I had something go right. Well,
Yes.
actually, I got a couple teams right.
See, Catbros, we get things right. Listen to us.
Our word is gospel for 2022. You heard it now.
Scientifically proven right there. But I can't imagine too many people are going to disagree with that. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you get to this end of the ladder, and you're like, oh yeah. And it's even worse with teams like the Storm, and I'd add the Roosters in there as well. Obviously, they had an unlucky year, but I mean, before that, they were regular like clockwork as well. So it's easy enough to do. What was the highlight of their season?
Breaking the record, the point scoring record.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Like, how many times they put 40 plus, 50 plus on other teams was inhumane. Cruel and unusual punishment.
Sending him for crimes against humanity.
My team was the recipient of one of those crimes against humanity.
Aha, and I'm going to give you 1 second. We have a special guest coming. Great group DM. Oh, what are you doing? And OBS is just completely, absolutely pooped itself. Hello. He's muted.
He's muted. Yep.
Okay, I had to fix that up because for some reason it repositioned everything when I hit accept the call.
There we go.
Yeah, it's really frustrating little app.
We're not broken anymore. Yay.
Yeah. So that's going to take some getting used to. Yes. Apologies, guys. That was a bit disorganized there.
Hashtag professionalism.
Yep, that's us.
At its finest.
So what I'll do is Peter Lang from the Western Weekender.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Good on you. I just had to turn the microphone on the settings.
Yep. Yeah, it's a bit
How much?
technology.
Not very good,
Oh, you're-
Yes, the pain in the ass that is the Discord microphone settings.
mate. You guys sound great. I've just got my headphones on
Oh,
and I can hear you perfectly. Can
great.
you
Well,
hear me clearly
I
though?
can hear you perfectly.
Oh, good. I'll keep the phone on this angle then, just so you can hear better. Does it make a
Right.
difference if I go like that? No.
No, we can hear you pretty good. I think it's pretty decent quality. Discord's, I think, pretty used to it because it's quite well known for using a voice chat type of stuff and calls.
You both sound pretty good.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know.
So I've got Aaron and the old Panther. Now, is it,
Yes.
What's your
So
what do I refer to you as? The old Panther
old
or Rain
Panther or Ryan works too.
Ryan? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I call you the old Panther? I love that.
Yeah,
That's how I know
you
you.
can call me old Panther. That's
Yeah,
totally
like it.
fine.
Got a bit of a bit of difference in it.
Yeah, I actually call
But
myself
adding
that.
the onto the start of Old Panther and basically calling you old.
You're not the only one. Let me tell you.
Well, yeah, the name actually originally came because, like, my first game of football I ever remember is the 91 grand final. So I was born in 86.
Oh, what a young boy you are.
Yeah, and it's basically was just originally a reference to how much the game has changed even in my time playing the sport. So I always said it makes me feel kind of old looking at how the game's evolved over that time, and it just came from there.
Well, when we won the 91 grand final, I was 21. So I feel
Wasn't
much
even
older.
born.
I should be the one called old Panther, not you.
Yeah,
We should switch that.
we're gonna have to hand the mantle over.
Yeah, you put it. You have to. I think you'll have to during this call. Hey, did you guys hear today about Sean O'Sullivan?
No, I didn't
Yeah.
see that. The one I've been hearing about is
Tex Hoy.
Tex Hoy from Newcastle.
Yeah,
I've been at work all day. I heard nothing.
Yeah, apparently Sean O'Sullivan, the Warriors half, former Glenmore Park Brumby here in the local area. He's he's basically just signed as a backup half. So that's just happened tonight. But although they haven't released it, they won't release it for a few days yet, I wouldn't think. But my mail is pretty good that he's agreed to terms. So he'll be the backup half for next year. So they must think that they must feel that good old Nathan might be missing for a game or two. I can't see him missing any though. He's pretty good with his rehab. But
And he who must not be named is probably getting sacked.
Oh yeah, look, I wouldn't surprise me if it went either way, but I think if they don't sack him, it'll be an absolute public relations disaster.
Yeah.
So they'll no other choice, but they'll re-sign him in a year's time.
Yeah, whatever happens now, like it's just the general public. If you look across the way things are, there's very little support for him.
No. And I've got to be honest with you guys. If he was a better player, I might be a bit more forgiving. But because he's only sort of, I don't know, average, a little bit above average at best. I don't really need that sort of negativity around the club. He's just taking a spot from someone else that could, do really well with it because he's mates with the right people.
Yeah, exactly. Like I saw someone said the other day, like if he just celebrated the win, nobody would have cared.
Yeah, just couldn't help himself.
It just went the extra step.
Just part of his personality, I think. And
it's made so much more ironic when his grand final contribution was a knock-on.
He played 16 minutes, I think, or something.
Yeah,
if that
2 runs for 11 meters and a knock-on.
Yeah, no, he's and he just looks so slow.
14 minutes worth of grand final.
Yeah, but he just looks so slow. Whatever he plays, he doesn't look dynamic. I don't know whether it's because he was out of the game for a year. He certainly looked better before he was out for that year. But I don't know, something about him.
I remember he did his knee, and then not long after he had that time out, and I think he just never recovered.
No, I don't think he was fit. But he's got powerful friends, so even if he's gone, he won't be gone for long.
Well, the way I see it is it gave him the opportunity to sort of turn himself around both on and off the field. And I like those kind of stories. I'm a big fan of second chances in life. And so it would have been nice to see him take it, I guess. But, obviously it's happened the way it has.
But you put a picture up of yourself and the coach. So you've got to be pretty confident of your standing in the team to sort of be that bold, to put a picture of yourself and, the coach of the club. So I don't know, it's sort of a bit weird on all levels, if you ask me. Just overconfident, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, we'll see what happens. This time tomorrow we'll know. I think it's in the morning they meet. I think it's early in the morning they meet for these board meetings. So I don't even think it's in the evening. We should know pretty quick.
Yeah, I'll be at work, but I'll keep an eye on the news and see how it goes. I'm keen.
I'll tweet it if I can, as soon as I can, as soon as I hear anything.
We follow you. I follow you on my personal stuff, and also the Catbros Twitter follows you, so we'll get the notification.
Hopefully, probably somebody else will beat me to the punch. But anyway,
that's how media is. So we were in the middle of doing the Storm, but I switched over to the Panthers, so that way we can do that. That way, if you do have time constraints, you can hop out if you want.
You're a good person. Yeah, no, that's great. I promised my wife I'd actually watch some TV with her tonight because the girls have just gone to bed. Just put them to bed at my 8 o'clock deliberately because I knew I was going to talk to you guys. So I said, guys, I've got to talk to someone. So put them to bed. So I'd love to do more, but I'll stick to the Panthers this time and maybe do some more if you like down the track.
That's all right.
If you have me back.
We appreciate whatever we get. Like I was saying to Aaron before, I'm actually fanboying a little bit because I do read you guys out there at the Weekender. So it's like one of those moments.
You're too nice. You're too nice, old Panther.
Yeah.
Too nice.
But
what's going to happen? What happens with this, by the way?
So we're actually live on the YouTube channel right now.
Are people listening to all the stuff we're talking about?
Yeah.
That must be riveting for them. Telling them about my kids going to bed and everything.
But that's how we are here. We're very just casual. It's nothing too formal because at the end of the day, we are just fans.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. All of us.
Just enjoying the game, really. So,
off topic all the time. It's great fun.
Yeah,
I'm terrible. Don't get me off topic. I'll be off with the fairies if you ask me that.
You'd fit right in. But yes, now we do have our 6 questions that I sent to you. Yeah. But before that, obviously, we are both old enough to remember the 18-year wait. So I do have to ask before we get there, how was the emotion when it actually that final siren actually went off?
Look, I've got to tell you, and this will sound like just like what everybody else has probably said, but I was just relieved. I was so scared that last, couple of minutes, especially when they threw the ball over the sideline. I think it was South, good old, what's his name? He threw the ball. I've gone blank now.
It was Cody Walker.
That's it, Cody Walker. That's right.
I remember it was actually Nathan Cleary tackled him.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was really close. He hit his hand instead of the ball, so it was a handover.
Yeah, and then, of course, what about when there was like 3.5 minutes to go and he threw it over the sideline and they were swearing that we touched it? So at that point, I thought we were gone. I really thought they were going to get over because you could see us retreating. You could see the house of cards just falling over. And I looked at the time and I thought, oh, crikeys, if they get over here, we've got like 2 minutes to get over. So when they got the ball and when the countdown began, I just remember feeling a huge sense of relief that we'd actually, done it. I didn't expect them to get that close, to be honest with you, Sal. So I thought they'd give us a run for our money, but I certainly didn't think I was going to be sweating with like a minute and a half to go. I thought we would have kicked a bit clearer. So credit to them. They played exceptionally well that game.
Oh, they definitely did. They played great. And I had the exact same thing. It's that case of it's all through the finals because we somehow managed to have all the close games.
Yes.
And it's like you get to that end and you just hang on. You just like, give me that siren. Give me that siren.
I think I was more emotional. And I watched it with my eldest daughter, the game against Melbourne. I think I was more emotional and a bit teary during the game, actually, because I just thought and I was one of those people that thought we probably wouldn't get over the top of them. I just thought we'd played our grand final against the Eels the week before, and I believed all the hype as well about Melbourne, that they were unbeatable, we couldn't do it, they had a rest, we didn't have a rest. And so I actually think I was more emotional to get through than the actual win. So it's crazy the way sport works. You'd think it's the other way around, but no, it was probably the Melbourne game that I felt the happiest. More relief.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
we had that pain from last year, so it kind of went
Oh,
over,
yeah.
and that's why it's like, I don't know. It was
Yeah.
that was a hell of a game. I think I agree with that. The emotion was very high from that because you remember last year and everyone wrote us off, and we probably wrote ourselves off, and then they did that, especially to defend the way they did. I'm like, that's crazy, especially in the 6 again era. I mean, all the talk all year has been about blowout scores, and then we had like 3 of the best defensive games.
Yeah, and now they're thinking of bringing in a second referee. So not quite sure why they like. I mean, we just accepted. I was one of these people that hated the fact that we only had one referee at first.
Yeah.
And then in usual one-eyed Panther fashion, as soon as I saw that it was to our advantage, I all of a sudden liked it. I'm really a hypocrite, really. So
Yeah.
whatever suits us, I like. If it suits
Yeah.
us, I like the rule. If it doesn't, I hate it. Sorry, I'm biased, and that's the way I am. So, there's no point in pretending otherwise.
But at least you're upfront about it. People
You
know where they
gotta be.
stand. As long as
Yeah,
you're
you gotta
honest,
be.
that's what matters. As long as you're honest, that's
Yeah,
the
it's got me into trouble a few times, plus a few people that don't particularly like me because of that. But don't follow me then.
But that's the
I'm
sport.
biased.
I mean, everyone follows
That's
their
it.
team.
Yep, exactly right. So off we go.
Yeah. So we'll jump into the questions. So question 1 is, and I'll throw it to you: Where did we predict them to finish this year?
Look, me personally, I wrote a column last year at the end, and I said that we would win the grand final, believe it or not. And it is in paper, it is in print. So if no one believes me, I can certainly dig it up for you. So I actually thought we'd win. It just felt like everything we did last year was in preparation for this year. I did the whole 1990-91 comparison too. And what I didn't expect was our horrible run with injuries. And what I didn't expect was, how we struggled after the Origin series. I mean, we lost both our halves. People and myself can be a little bit critical of how they went after the Origin. Like that first 12 games was just, I thought we were going to win all 24, or 25, should I say. But to me, I actually thought that if they could get there, they would win it.
See,
So
that's what we said
That was my
before.
prediction.
Here on the Catbros, we have correct opinions.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that it worked out that way.
Yeah. But like that period, there are those opinions out there, some voices that say that maybe that period of hardship is actually kind of, and I'm probably one of them that subscribe to it, where that period of hardship leading up to even losing week 1 of the finals is actually kind of what helped them win in the end.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. It just toughened them up a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, like that mental attitude was a lot different through those finals games this year than it was last year. It looked like they were very steeled, very stoic, very ready to do the hard work.
Yeah, it's a bit hard when you go in on 17 wins on the trot and then meet a team that basically, Melbourne ambushed us, whereas this year we weren't going to let that happen again. I prescribe to that theory that you have to lose one to win one. It just seems to happen to us. It doesn't happen to everyone.
Yeah.
But certainly with Penrith, it works better the second time. Although we did go from wooden spooners in 2002 to winning the whole thing in 2003. So
yeah, so
go figure.
We're a bit all over the place, but
we are. But it was nice. It was good, and I think it'll help for next year as well, because obviously we've lost a few players for next season, and I also think it's not a bad thing because it'll give the juniors a chance to get more of a run. And if you don't give them a run, what you'll get is they'll start leaving and looking for other opportunities. So, losing Paul Momirovski, but keeping Tago, I think that's important.
Well, he's the big one you hear a lot of talk about. That Tago.
Yeah, he impressed me a lot too. Him and Taylor May. I mean, I only saw him play once, but sometimes you only need to see someone once, and you can just see it that they're special.
Very good crop of guys in there. So I was actually really enjoying watching them all play in the reserve grade comp until obviously COVID happened. That's frustrating. Hopefully they get
Everything's
back next year.
Everything's back next year.
Thank the footy gods for that one.
Yeah. Thank you very much, because missing all those games is not good for them either, for their development or anything.
I mean, the comp as a whole needs it to be on.
Yeah, definitely. So that was question 1. What was question 2? I didn't even remember the questions. I just talked off the top of my head.
That's all good. What
Oh,
was
do I get to talk about question one first?
Rain, this is the last time you have me on, mate.
or am I third wheeling the stream again?
No, see, as a Tigers fan, I thought maybe question one we might avoid. No. All right, so you go, Aaron, but I'm gonna be a bit scared.
I think I told you about this, or I think I mentioned this to you earlier in the season, Ryan. My prediction for the Panthers this year was, I guess, a little bit of second-year syndrome. I wasn't sure how much losing Tamo and a few of the other guys was going to affect them. I thought the loss, they'd be driven to go back and try again, but I don't know. I had them finishing fourth and being one of the teams that ended up losing in the prelims. So going backwards, but not very far.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that was pretty popular. A lot of people, a lot of non-Panther people, so the neutral people said there'd be some hangover from that, like a bit of the mental anguish would get them a bit.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a lot of that sort of around, which in a young team isn't exactly like you can see it happening, I guess is what I'm looking for there.
Yeah, that was the reasoning I was leaning to. The young team, how is losing the grand final going to affect them? Are they going to be able to bounce back? And I thought they would, but not quite well enough to get back to the grand final again.
Yeah, and I think that if you're a non-Panthers fan, you and I spoke to a lot of friends about this too, they kind of said there's no way in the world that you'll ever do 17 in a row or perform like that ever again. You just had a magical year. They're a bunch of young kids. They might have just felt like they climbed the mountain high enough. And so, I think that was a pretty popular, unless you're a Panther supporter, most people thought top four and, maybe second round of the semis. But, the consistency was there, which I didn't think would be myself as a Panther supporter. You kind of only expect those sort of years every now and then. And to have it happen 2 years in a row and hopefully longer was a good surprise.
Yeah, well, I guess you got to give credit to the coaching staff on that one, and a lot of noise comes out about Cameron Ciraldo particularly and the work he does behind the scenes.
And Aaron, I picked the Tigers to come 8th. I thought you guys would make the top 8.
So did I.
Yeah, I
So
saw
did
what
I.
you bought, and I thought, that's a good crop of players you've managed to assemble. But I guess they just didn't gel. Like that was probably the main thing.
It just didn't get going, and the defense was woeful, to say the least.
Yeah, and I think that series Tiger Town, which everyone enjoyed, whether you're a Tiger supporter or not, kind of showed me that you heard that Michael Maguire had a say in everything that went through. If you believe what you read, he let everything go through. Like he approved everything. I thought there were some things in there that I wouldn't have let through. As a potential player, some of these characteristics, I thought, oh, geez, a player's not going to enjoy that. And whether you believe it or not, there's been some players, Adam Elliott, and I think another one that didn't want to come to the Tigers because of the way Maguire seems to blame everyone but himself for the losses. I don't know. What did you think of Tiger Town? Did you think it was a positive thing as a supporter?
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it showed how driven for success Madge was. Maybe it was dramatized up a little bit, but you could see there was the passion there. It just times obviously didn't show up on the field, particularly defensively, because we scored a decent amount of points. I think we scored over 500 points, but we conceded over 700, which was, I think, the second worst in the comp behind the Cowboys.
Yeah, they always say defense is attitude, don't they? Like playing for the bloke next to you. And maybe at times the Tigers blokes next to them maybe didn't quite, feel that way about the bloke next to them. Because they chopped and changed a lot too, didn't they? So it was hard to...
Not as much as 2020.
Uniform. Yeah, well... Can I ask you a question as a Tigers fan? I know this is a Panthers segment, but I do want to ask a Tigers supporter this question. Would you have got rid of Madge at the end of the year?
No.
So you think
I was adamant that Madge is the right man for the job. Well, he was recontracted for 2, I believe. Before the 2021 season, they extended his contract for 22 and 23. At least that's what I'm under the impression was the case.
Yeah, you're right. It was. Yeah.
Yeah. And I still feel like he's the right person for the job. You maybe. So the on-field results, those metrics are one way of looking at the situation, but the other metrics are how's things going off the field. Like, are we getting set up for success off the field and behind the scenes? And to that, I say we are. You look at how our reserve grade comps, our reserve grade team, and even our Jersey flag team performed in 2021 before the comps were shut down. Like our reserve grade boys, I'm pretty sure we were third when the comp was suspended, and we had only just recently dropped to third underneath Para. And our Jersey flag boys, they were undefeated. I think they were 7 wins and 6 draws or something like that.
Well, Tim Sheens will be a big help as well over the off
sure.
season. You know, his voice will add a bit to it as well. But you'd like to think that if he doesn't have significant improvement this year, he has to go, doesn't he? Like, surely 9th, 11th and 13th, they won't cop it again, surely, not for 4 years. So he's really do or die, isn't it?
It pretty much is, yeah. It's hard to... But that's the sad thing. As a Tigers fan, I don't think we're making the finals next year. I think we'll probably be back to around the 11th mark where we finished last year. And that's not through fault of Madge. It's more... I know we're going to be missing Dewey early on in the season, and that's going to hurt. We'll have Laurie back, obviously, and we'll have Stefano both another year wiser and ready to roll. But, yeah, there's still a lot of conjecture around Hastings, around Brooks, around that whole situation there in the middle. Little and Simpkin, those key positions where I'm not sure we're going to do as well as we'd need to.
Tyrone Peachy will make a bit of a difference, although he's coming probably towards the end of his career rather than start. But I think he'll have a steady influence if they find a spot for him. I'm not sure where they're going to play him, though. Like he's talked about a 5'8", but then where do you play Hastings? Like
he'll be lock or 14, Peachy, I reckon.
Yeah.
13 or 14.
Yeah, he'll add something. I thought Tamo, unfortunately, I thought he played his last year with us, to be honest with you, without sounding rude to him. I think he's a lovely bloke and he looks like a terrific, player and a good bloke. But I think he just didn't bring what they thought he would to the forward pack. I thought Luciano probably played better than he did. He's a second rower. So I don't know what you thought, but Tamo is a lovely bloke. I met him once or twice, top fella, but just looked to be a little bit off the pace last year.
Yeah, I didn't get to meet him, unfortunately, but I was there at Leichhardt for the trial game against Manly, and what we saw from him in that game was what I was expecting for the season, and we didn't get that for the season. Like, we got it in the trial, but we didn't get it in the season. Like, you could see every time he played the ball in that trial game, every time he got tackled, he never let the opponents get him onto his back. He was always on his belly or on his knees. And then when he was taken off the field, he was basically captaining from the sideline, encouraging the team. Because I was in the top of the grandstand, so I had a really good view of how that all was going down. And it was one of the things I was paying the most attention to. And we just seemed to be lacking that on-field leadership from him for most of the season. It seemed like most of the on-field leadership came from Adam Dewey.
Yeah, and that's what I thought when I started watching, towards the sort of middle of the season as well. But look, he's still going to be an important player for you guys next year. He's still solid. He still punches out the meters. He does what he has to do. But without a doubt, I think his best years are behind him. Just to bring in the new crop that's coming up. Anyway,
good to hear. He may be retiring after 22.
Oh, yeah, I would say without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, because he's only got a 2-year contract. I think that's it.
Yeah,
for
it was
him,
just 2 years.
Yeah, no, he's a good fella. So I hope he goes well next year.
Yeah, so he was the reason I actually picked Tigers for the 8. If Aaron remembers, I actually did a video on it. And I was like, yeah, everyone, you suck picking Tigers for the bottom 4. Don't do that. He'll bring over some, good leadership. And then, yeah, I ended up looking the fool. So,
Hindsight's
we
2020.
both did.
Yeah.
Well, I did too. I picked it for the 8th as well. I thought they'd sneak in. So,
Yeah.
better times ahead.
So I do maintain if Laurie stayed fit, I think they actually scrape in. I think that was the big loss for them at the end of the year. There was a couple of games there I think they win in that last month of football.
That Warriors game where he went down.
Yeah.
We don't lose that game with Laurie because we score a lot more points in the first half.
Yeah. So,
and it was like things. 1 week you were brilliant and the next week you weren't. Like you got beaten badly by Cronulla and then you came out the next week and stuck it to us. So it's like, which, was the consistency as well, I guess. It was one up, down, and,
Yeah, you could see that most of the times we won a game or came close to winning a game, we'd be absolute garbage the following week.
Yeah, and then be brilliant because you're garbage the following week. So it's just, a bit of you almost knew that when they played badly the week after they were going to play well, whether they won or not.
That little stretch of games we had from rounds 10 to 13 where we won 3 out of 4. And then we go on to get absolutely demolished in the following 3.
Yeah, it takes it out of you.
And since we're there, Aaron, you might be able to answer. Ash, who's in the chat, by the way, is a Panthers fan. He said, aren't Tigers getting Hodgson? But I don't remember what happened with all that. That went kind of quiet, didn't it?
Yeah, I haven't heard much of that. I don't know if I want Hodgson. He's another one who's getting on in years. I feel like we need to stick with the young kids, and I really think we need to invest in Simpkin and turn him into that 80-minute hooker or very close to 80-minute hooker.
Yeah, Simpkin is going to be really awesome if they develop him. Just develop that kid. Hey,
yeah, I lost a lot of faith in. I lost a lot of faith in Little, especially with that second Warriors game. When you're when you're attacking on their try line and the dummy half is not a dummy half, you've got a problem.
Yeah, you're playing to win the game, and you're just nowhere to be seen. G'day, Ash. Ash just jumped in. Broncos supporter. We forgive you. It's okay.
They had plenty of time in the sun, the Broncos, and they'll come back again.
Yeah, they
let them stay there for a little while.
For all their issues, they definitely look like they're on the up now, though. So,
yeah, I think Ben Eichen will provide a bit of difference there too. They've restructured their whole roster. Can't see him making the top 8, but I can see him improving.
Yeah, like I come back to Adam Reynolds behind that forward pack. It's going to be something to watch.
Oh, it'll be much better than, what if they have 10 different halves this year, so that'll help.
Yeah, I think
that'll definitely help.
I think they actually might have broken a record this year for the amount of halves they used.
Yeah.
I think they did.
Penrith in the old days, we used to just chop and change all the time because we didn't really have any one person, so good to have that stability for a change.
Yeah. All right, so where are we at? Question 3. This is actually a tough one. Maybe 1 or 2 moments we can pick. What was the low light of their season?
Oh, look, I'd have to say it was the 1-point loss to Cronulla. I know that sounds silly because it was, we're missing a lot of Origin players and, they fought back from 18-0. But the way they fought back, an 18-all, and I like to win every game. I don't care who's playing or who's not playing. But, like we did the year before, 17 in a row, I would have run 25, 28 in a row. It doesn't bother me. So I like to win everyone. So I saw that as really winnable, especially when they got to 18-all. And then I know it's a stupid thing, but just to see that piddly kick just go over, I thought, oh, it was really, disappointing considering they looked like they were going to get their asses kicked at 18-0 down.
Yeah.
And I just went, oh, well, it's understandable. You can sit there and you start looking in the stands and you can see, the Clearys, the Luais, the Capewells, everyone's up there. So you can sit there and you can justify it in your mind.
Still don't like watching it though.
Yeah, but then, you're 18-all and you think, yeah, we're going to win this. I actually thought we'd win 18-all. And then they had all those chances and they just kept dropping.
Yeah, I was waiting for the Burton redemption arc after his 300 field goals against Newcastle.
Well, he took a bit longer. So I don't know why a silly game like that, which really meant nothing in the scheme of things, we had plenty of excuses as to why we should lose, but yet I felt really disappointed after that game. I don't know why. I just went.
And Ash
I know,
asks,
stupid.
and Ash in the chat asks, is Salmon staying with us?
Yeah, he is. Absolutely.
There you go, Ash.
Yeah,
Ash
100%.
is very much, he loves the rumours and signing stuff.
Yeah, no, he's staying. So I think Sean O'Sullivan's just been added just for a bit of experience, just in case, especially during the Origin series. We saw what happened when you didn't have, like when I say experienced, Sean O'Sullivan's only played 22 first-grade games, but he played, I think, was it 13 or 14 or something? You guys might want to have a look. Last year, so he played the majority of them last year.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up. I mean, it's something like that, around
But
13 games.
The salary cap's not going to allow you to go out and buy like a top half to play reserve grade.
No, it's exactly right.
Yeah.
So there's a young kid that's a couple of years away. They signed just a few weeks ago, but he's not ready yet. He'll be starting in Flegg and then going to finishing the year in reserve grade. And I know that much about him that I can't even remember his name. But in saying that, you forget a lot because, like you said, we just haven't seen any of these boys play for so long.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone again. All those, all the players that you could always watch them in reserve grade and get a gauge of how they were going.
Yeah, well, I love those. I think the broadcasters need to get on, like if they're going to start making demands about, the comp and that, they need to start telecasting more of these reserve grade games. I think we get like one game a week or something.
Yeah, I agree.
Fox gets
totally
one.
agree. Yeah, they do. Yeah, I think is it one or two, I think, maximum. I don't think there's two anymore. But I used to love it when they did the Holden Cup, even though it was a bit of a, game of Oztag, but still it was enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
For what it was.
So just back onto that Sharks game. The thing about that one is you weren't missing as many players as you were the week before against us. I think, you were missing 9 players against us?
Yeah. I think there was 6 against the Sharks, I think, or something. Was it 6 against the Sharks? Yeah.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
You had a few of them back. And one of them was back from a suspension.
Back? Yeah, that's right. So it was Martin was back. He backed up from Origin. I think we had Leota back as well from suspension. So those two boys are back. And
I think you had one more.
Yeah, I do too. I think we were missing 5 or 6. You're right. But yeah, that's another reason why it was more disappointing too. But like, there was still no Appy. There was still no the halves. Just goes to show, doesn't it? What how big a role. I know it sounds stupid because everyone knows that those positions are really important. But until you've got your spine missing, you probably don't realise how much.
Yes.
Or how important they really are. You can have everybody else in, but if those blokes are out, then you can still lose a game.
You had Appy back that one.
Oh, there we
Did
go.
Appy come back?
Appy played, yeah. He was in.
Just goes to show he didn't have his best game. Because I don't remember him doing much in that game.
Yes.
As for Jamin Salmon, he has played 5 games in 2018, 12 in 2019, and 2 in 2021.
Yeah, was that for Parramatta, was it? I think.
Yeah, 18 and 19 were at Para.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember him, to be honest with you, and I'm going to be honest. So, obviously they think highly of him from what I've heard. I mean,
I think it's more just, from an outside point of view, you probably know a bit more intimately than we do, but it just looks like they're just being prepared. No Burton next year as well, so you kind of, you're going to need a couple of halves there. And Falls, who everyone thinks is sort of like a young Nathan Cleary, at least in style. He's still quite young and raw.
Falls, can you check his age? I'm sure he's about 24 or something.
Yeah, he's a bit older, but obviously he hasn't. I think he hasn't played in first grade or anything. So as far as
not to my knowledge.
Yeah, as far as his football development goes, he's obviously
Well, if Sean
O'Sullivan's top 30,
he's a development player. He'll be allowed to play from 1st of July. I think it is when they can play those 4 development players. But you see, Penrith need to sign Tex Hoy and a few others because I think they're only up to about 22 or 23 at this point. So they've still got about 5 or 6 spots.
Oh, they don't have his age on his player profile.
Who's that? Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I read that he's 23 or 24. He's
Yeah.
not a.
So
He's not a young.
so his age is a bit older, but like I said, it's more around his football development is more like that younger. That makes sense because
Gee, they've got a few. They've got a few halves, aren't they now? Especially
yes.
if Shauno's all of a sudden got from no one. So what does that do with someone like Falls? If Sean O'Sullivan is side, like I've heard, surely I don't know that place is. Well, I guess Falls is a developmental player, so they might give Sullivan a run if they need to before July or during the Origin. If it doesn't work out, they'll bring Falls in, I guess, and then you've got James Salmon as well. So
yeah, well, I guess it protects him a little bit. He gets to just sort of ease into it and then do his thing. He's not under any pressure to carry the team because he's got 2 guys around him who can help him out. So
yeah, and let's be honest, without Luai and Cleary, we saw it a few times. Penrith do come back to the pack.
Well,
I mean, those 2 blokes are phenomenal. Like, let's not be silly here. Not going to win the comp with Falls or Sean O'Sullivan or something like that, you know. So and that's the same like the Broncos, even back in their heyday, and anyone in their heyday where they have their halves of Walters and Langer, and you know you've got these great comments. No one's going to win without those blokes. Like, you can win the odd game or 2, but you know.
Yeah, that's pretty much a foregone conclusion. And it's not an insult to anyone either. It's like, no, it's not, I mean, the teams you've got to go up against in finals games, for example, are the best of the best. You know, you've got to be, you know, in that best of the best category too.
Exactly.
Here it is. He's 24.
Yeah. So, you know, he's not an 18-year-old who's going to do heaps wrong. Just steer the ship around a little bit. I didn't think Tyrone May, Freudian slip. I didn't think Tyrone May and Burton really. I know it's hard with 1 or 2 games, but I thought they'd play a lot better when they had those chances for us. I know we won the games, or most of them, but it just went to show that.
Well, my assessment of that is when May got out of the way and Burton was able to just do his thing. Yeah, he was so much better. May was like you alluded to it before when you talked about there's no sort of explosiveness with him. Whenever he got the ball in his hands as first receiver, he tried to play like Nathan Cleary, but he didn't have the athleticism to pull it off. So when his second receiver got the ball, he's already on the back foot.
Yeah, he made. I mean, I'll give him credit. He scored a good try where he just went through, but he was out wide then too. He wasn't playing in the centre. He was out. You know, so they stripped him for numbers, and then that's how I think he got through more than anything else. But look, as long as like Nathan Cleary and Luai, Happy, and even Edwards all stay fit, you know, obviously they should. I'm expecting Penrith to definitely make the top 4 next year and just go from there. I'm not expecting
naming guys as well. Isaiah Yeo.
yeah,
like,
exactly.
His work in that middle is ridiculous. He's a forward and a half. He ball plays like a half at times with genuine vision. Like he's not just shuffling the ball on. He takes a couple of steps. He looks. He makes a decision, and then he runs or passes. Like it's so fun to watch him play. Yeah.
I mean, what about Leota and Fish, forwards who actually throw the throw a ball?
Again, yeah.
Like Fish does a lot of that. I was watching him a lot in the second half of the year, and before he went off for that month and was long gone, he was putting people through bloody holes. Like it was just, it's incredible to see forwards play the ball, and we haven't seen something like that since Warren Ryan days and when he had the Bulldogs back in the 80s playing a bit of ball playing, and I think Des Hasler did it with Manly as well about 10 years ago, or whenever he was there, about 15 years ago. Or was that with the Dogs?
He did it with the Dogs. I don't know if he did.
Yeah.
I know
he probably did.
He did it with the Dogs, so it's probably just his coaching style, I guess.
But it comes and goes, doesn't it? Like 1 minute, everyone will have their forwards passing the ball, then nobody will have it for about 3 seasons, then somebody will do it, and then everybody else will sort of copy it, and off we go.
Well, we went through a big period of time there where a lock forward was literally just a prop. He would just get the ball and he would just run, like your Paul Gallen type. And then, and now we're sort of moving back into that ball playing type lock where you've got your Isaiah Yeo, your Cameron Murray, guys like that now who are your skillful locks.
Yeah, I agree. The locks are supposed to be traditionally the middleman between the forwards and the backs, so that they can
Yeah.
feed both sides. So to see that happening again was really good. But you watch, everyone will be doing that now.
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean, Aaron probably be able to have a good opinion on that, watching Twal try and play lock this year.
Yeah, he's a front rower, not a lock. And I am adamant of that fact.
what about Luciano? He doesn't look like a bad prospect. He'd almost shove him in lock. He seems like he's got a bit of speed, a bit of a step, if he can just get a bit of ball work going, then
Yeah,
I don't know.
Luch, I wouldn't mind trying there. But yeah,
Yeah.
Twel's best position is absolutely in the front row.
Chuck the ball under the arm and off we go.
Yeah.
All you need. Not everybody has to be a ball playing superstars. I like some of my favourite forwards over the years have been the ones that just grab the bloody ball, tuck it under their arm, and run hard. Good old Martin Lang was one of them. Joel Clinton used to do that. A couple of others over the years. So
all you got to do sometimes just chuck it under the arm and just go for glory.
Petro, as Petro once said, or someone once said about Petro, he used to do the shit rucks. Not the glamour ones where you'd run down the middle and make 40 metres. He'd cart it out 10 metres out from his own line, bust through that 10 metres. He was that sort of player where he didn't wait to do the glamour stuff. He'd just roll up his sleeves and that's what you need sometimes, doesn't it?
Well, you need those guys as well. I mean, we have it. We've got Fish and Martin and those guys who can play like that and do often play like that. You can't win without it.
Oh, and there's some good forwards still to come. Like Lindsay Smith hardly got a look in, and he shows a bit of promise. And then you've got Hopgood.
Oh, I was a huge fan of Hopgood when I saw him play. He looks like he's going to be something.
He's like a bit of a Paul Gallen type, isn't he? He just doesn't have any self-preservation. Just grabs the ball and runs hard, and same as Tago. And I'm probably answering some of the questions that you've got coming up, but it's just look. I don't expect, and I'll be honest, I don't expect us to have another season like the last two. I'd love it. Nothing would make me happier. But for me to be realistic, settle down, top four would be a good enough finish for me next year, and see how high we can get after that.
I mean, you win the premiership, anything less than top four the following season is an abject failure.
Absolute failure. And that's something Penrith have got to avoid, because in the past, that's exactly what we've done. We've climbed the mountain and then just fallen off it. And
what did you finish in 2004 after winning in 2003?
We
played
made the
finals.
preliminary final.
We got knocked out by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, so it was preliminary final, grand final. If we won that, we would have been in the grand final, but they knocked us out. That's right. But it was what happened in 2005 and after, which was the real sad story. 2005, by 2007, we won the Wooden Spoon. That's 3 or 4 years after winning a comp. So I'm not saying that shouldn't happen now, because I think they've learned their lessons from back then. There wasn't that much development in the juniors, but if you can see, everybody now is starting to want to develop their juniors. Everyone wants to have a centre of excellence. I think the Tigers have got that now, haven't they? They've got that centre they're building.
Yeah, it should be open before the season, I believe. I think it's due to be opening in February.
Yeah, and they've also, everyone's focusing on their juniors, like Penrith are, and people tend to try and follow what's successful, but it's not always successful for everyone else. And it wasn't successful for us in 2014 when we made that preliminary final with basically 8 injuries and blokes like Ben Murdoch-Marcella running around and Will Smith at 5'8". I remember everybody looking at that as a model and going, "Oh, Panthers have got the money ball. They've got all these untapped little players that are worth 150,000, and look how well they went. They made the preliminary final. All of a sudden, you saw half a dozen other teams going, "Oh, we better do that," and we finished like 10th or 11th the year after.
Yeah.
So it's.
To be fair, I maintain 2015 was due to injuries.
For sure.
We won our first 2 games, and then I think it was the first one was soured with his back, and it just went from there.
Yeah. But it was funny how people follow trends, and it doesn't always work for everyone. It certainly didn't work for us more than 1 year as well.
Well,
The
yeah.
other thing I want to point out is that we actually copy things as well. It's not like I'm sitting here saying, "Oh, glory, Penrith are just so wonderful. They think of everything and they're just the best." That rushing defence that we've got, that's not new.
No, that's
Ricky Stewart did that with the Roosters in, what
Yeah.
was it, 202, 2-3 and 2-4. That rushing defence. So I don't know why we went away from that as a sport. Like, they did it so well. I remember
Yeah.
other clubs trying to copy it. Then it disappeared for like the next 15 years, and we brought it back. I think it was last year. when we
the Storm
started
do it.
doing
The
it.
Storm do it as well.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Storm do it too. Yeah, but
it's
it's also not suited to everyone as well.
which
'cause
is actually funny that the Tigers were the exact opposite, and that's what you're talking about, the doco that they did this year. The thing that taught me was that Madge isn't the problem. It's the fact that the players aren't taking on board his message. It's that doco that actually convinced me that Madge isn't the problem. It's the mindset of the players.
Yeah, he's got to find players that will do what he wants them to do, because obviously, some of them, like you said, are just happy to play first grade. And now I think I think you're all right. I think he's got to do something next year. Has to be. I've got nothing against Madge. I think he looks like a pretty driven bloke, pretty determined, and
Well, he's got the salary cap now, and now all that talk of what Ivan did there is all done. It's finished now. Next year they have a clean slate.
And another thing, like I said, I'm not. You think I'm bagging out the Tigers for keeping him? Well, Penrith kept bloody Matthew Elliott way longer than they should have as well. So all clubs sort of sometimes pin their hopes on a coach that doesn't matter how long they give him. They'll have 1 year, good year. Like, he had one good year with us, pretty much, 2010.
Yeah.
And he was sacked. He was gone that day when he went to that board meeting. He came out with a 2-year extension.
That's crazy.
If anyone can talk their way into a contract, he was. So, like I said, it's not that everything Penrith have ever done has turned to gold and everything, but it's certainly, they're finally, I think, on the right track after all these years. So,
yeah, I think the one lesson that other clubs can take out of it is not to try and rush things, make good decisions.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Long-term success. Like, Penrith took 10 years essentially almost to get to where they are now. I mean, we're talking Gus showed up in 2011 and went out 2021.
10-year, 5-year plan.
Yeah, the 5-year plan, which he still claims to this day.
The 5-year plan that took 10 years.
Well, it's funny. I remember
9 if you include 2020.
9, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, I remember.
So, I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, the Titans have come out and said they're going to win 2 comps. I know one of them is supposed to be their women's comp, but 2 comps by 2030. Always a dangerous thing to say.
Yeah, you can't do that. You'll jinx it.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when the biggest news that Penrith had was when I think it was 2012, or might have been, or 2011, 2012. Gus had a big meeting with everybody at all the supporters and everything, because we were up in arms at losing 6 of our first 8 or something ridiculous like that. And he said, "I've got an announcement to make. We've signed a player." Everyone's going, "Oh, beauty!" Rubbing their hands with glee. Where's the Guama will be coming to the club next year. And we all went, "Oh." So, Cameron Ciraldo, Clint Newton, Wes Nguama. I mean, they're all decent, good players, but certainly not what's needed to win a comp, even back then. So you're right. It took a lot of time to do what's happened now. Not an overnight success, that's for sure.
So, hello, NSL. I saw that back a little bit. Thanks for joining us. That was a very, very brave prediction you put in the chat when you joined.
So, now that we're through there, got a bit of a break. National Sports Loaded, NSL, is in the chat, and he said, "This may sound early, but I think the Panthers will face against the Sharks in the grand final next year." He's nothing if not brave.
Who knows? Like, you look at a top 8 every year, and you almost want to put everyone back in again.
Yeah.
But I think this is the first time in a long time where you can look at the 8 and you can really see a couple of spots changing around.
I think there was a stat that came out either last year or this year, and every year there is, I think, one team that goes
No,
on a
I think it's
run
at
and-
least 2.
Yeah, that shocks everybody. Maybe it might be 2. I vaguely remember a stat where there's either 1 or 2 teams that just shock everyone and have like an amazing year. So you never know.
The Panthers were that team in 2020.
Yeah, everyone said we weren't even going to make the 8 after the 2019 season.
Which was disappointing, 2019, I remember.
Yes, it was a very down season, but at the end of that year, I made a video and I basically said, no, we're going to be better. And we've got Nathan Cleary as the dominant half. And these are the attributes. I went back through highlights of his games right back to before he even debuted, back to his schoolboy days when he played for Australian schoolboys. And I basically said, these are his attributes as a player. And now that he's had the mentoring under James Maloney and he can take over the team, I think they'll be a lot better. I didn't expect them to win all the games in a row, but I did think they were going to be better. The signs were kind of there.
Look, it was like the perfect storm, wasn't it? All of a sudden, everything clicked. All these young kids that we had high expectations for, who got a bit of a taste in 19, they came up another level. You know, you had your Crichtons, your Burtons, everyone who got a bit of a taste the year before, Martin, a couple of other blokes, they all sort of just hit peak at the same time, didn't they? They just hit form, and you don't get that mix. I reckon this mix is a bit like the Eels in the 80s, you know, in that golden era that they had, 81, 82, 83, and then a few years after that. It was just that same with the Broncos in the 90s, just that period of, doesn't mean that we won't be successful for a long time, but this sort of level of success, it relies on as much as anything of just a bit of luck too, just having it all happen all at once. Like, you know, there's a bit of that too. I mean, I know they planned for it and everything, and that's great, but it's still, you know, something that doesn't happen every day. If it did, everyone would be doing it every year.
Exactly.
So, you know.
The old saying, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Well, Melbourne seem to do it, though. That blows my theory. Every bloody year, first 20 years, so maybe every year.
Craig Bellamy, though, is a very intelligent coach, though. I think once he goes is when they'll notice it.
Yeah, I agree.
NSL,
he's not going that.
Yeah, no. Every year they're like, "Oh, this is his year. This is his last year." It's like, no, he's signed on again, and you're like,
he's back.
Okay,
yeah. He'll be in a Zimmer frame, and he'll still be there.
National Sports Loaded asked an interesting question. What are your thoughts on Jamal Idris used to play for the Panthers?
Oh, Jamal. He had a great season, didn't he? 2014, and look, I think that was a great year, but I don't think he was cited off nobbies the year after, was he?
Yeah, dropped off. It was just gone.
Yeah, exactly.
I was disappointed he didn't get to show us what he could do as a Tiger, because he did his ACL pretty early into that season and retired.
Which is a big shame.
I was looking forward to having Jamal at the club. I thought that was probably one of our better signings we had made around that time.
Yeah, and that's again what we talked about, a bit of bad luck. Like, you know, who knows what he could have done. Yeah. And what about when you had good old Harry Grant? I actually thought he played better for you guys than for Melbourne.
He did.
I said this last week, I'm pretty sure. Harry looks like a better player when he plays for a club like the Tigers. When he's playing for a club like the Storm, it's hard to stand out and it's hard to look amazing in a team that is already doing amazing as a team. However, when you're playing with the Tigers and you've got maybe a few standout players here and there, it's a lot easier to look like a better player. And I said the same thing about how I felt like Reece Walsh or Dane Laurie were better choices for Dally M Rookie of the Year, because while Sam Walsh was pretty spectacular, you look at who he was playing alongside. He was playing alongside players like Tedesco and all those other big names in the Roosters team. And like, they're on fire 95% of the time. You look
I'm with you. I don't think Sam Walker, you're right. I thought he fell away towards the end of the year quite badly and quite sharply. Once they worked out that one of his big major weapons was that long cutout pass, that was it, really, wasn't it?
Save it for the back end of games.
Yeah, that's right. And he just kept throwing it because it kept working. And then oppositions went, hang on a sec, he's going to throw the long ball. So they just stacked that side, and all of a sudden there was, no gaps out there anymore, and it didn't work. And yeah, I'm not sure about Sam anymore. What about you, blokes? I think Harry's excellent, but Harry's got bloody Brandon Smith alongside him that comes up and he's probably as good as him, if not a shade better than Harry at the moment.
I think they're both good. I just, with Harry Grant, I think his fitness is a big thing that lets him down. Like, the first time I really noticed it was Origin this year.
Yeah, and he's big, isn't he? Do you reckon he's put on weight? He's put on weight since the Tigers days? Because
he's quite chunky.
Huge.
He's quite a muscly dude. And but like there was that one play towards the back end of the game, and Nathan just ran around him while he was standing at marker. Literally just ran right past him. And I was like, and I just sort of started noticing it from there, where he can't play over X amount of minutes because he just gasses.
Yeah, because he didn't have much of a run this year, did he? Good old Harry. He was off a lot of time.
It's injuries as well. So like it's sort of that thing where it's how much game time is he actually going to be able to play.
So, Aaron, do you reckon he looked smaller at the Tigers? He looked a bit leaner at the Tigers than he did at Storm.
I was thinking that myself as well throughout the season. He didn't look the same as he did when he played for us. As for the Sam Walker, I think he's going to look good next year, but that'll be because Kiri will be back, and Kiri will make him look a lot better.
In his defense, he did play the end of that year with a shoulder injury. I can't remember which game it was now, but he busted his shoulder really bad and he played on with it for how many weeks?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's a young kid too.
He's got a lot of development. I put it in that sort of, Cleary class, I guess, where they come on, they just develop, play their game, get through it, and then I think in a couple of years we'll see Sam Walker, the player.
Now, fair call.
I think for now he's just gonna the calls of him being the absolute superstar. It's so early. Like he played a couple of games or something, threw some cutout passes against the Sharks, and then everyone was labeling like a future immortal. He was a future immortal all of a sudden.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay.
Speaking of Sam Walker, Peter, how did you feel about how he finished the game against the Bulldogs when they only just beat them?
Oh, you mean, is that when he ran backwards?
Or yes.
For like 90 metres.
That was
I've seen players do some really odd things like that. I remember when Craig Gower kicked the ball back towards his goal line in a game in 2003 to try, and he didn't realise there was still 10 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, that's...
But I've never seen anyone run 90 metres. I thought it was... How do I say this? I kind of applauded him for the innovation to do it, because no one's ever done it. I've never seen anyone do it before. But I also thought it was a bit silly too. Like, do you know what I mean? Like a bit not within the spirit of the game. So I was kind of caught between going, gee, that's clever, to, oh, geez, I'm not sure about that. Like, you can run a few metres, but 90 metres back, if he had got tackled and lost the ball, anything could have happened.
I said it to Ryan after the game as well. Like, how much is that going to affect his running meters and fantasy points for all the players who have him? And
a lot.
you take 90 meters off his run meter tally. I'll tell you what he ended up on. I think it was still pretty decent, but it was a lot less than it could have been.
So they minused it, did they? Did they feel he can take it off the 90?
Yeah, if you lose meters, they take it off your stats.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
It's funny. That's the one that everyone talks about, but the one that I actually thought was worse was Morris's last game, and they get a penalty in the attacking half, and instead of letting Morris kick a goal and head out on retirement, he basically said nope, and off he went.
He finished with 35 run meters.
So he had
11 runs for 35 run meters.
Yeah, minus 100 or something, wasn't it? 90.
minus about 90. So he was around about the 125, 11 runs for 125.
Yeah, he
down
won't
to
do that
11
again.
runs for just 35.
He won't do that again. I don't think the coach was a fan of it either. Running
No.
90 minutes. It kind of looked like you're afraid a bit, doesn't it? It kind of also, like I said, it's got that whole wow, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about it, you think, oh geez, now I know why, because it just doesn't
Yeah, it's a bit
it doesn't
embarrassing.
look good. It is.
He finished
And
with
actually,
49 fantasy points,
yeah, well that's a lot
which
more than
I
I
think
thought
I think for run meters you get 1 point per 10 running meters.
he would.
So he was on what's my quick math there? Shit. Hang on, I lost the number. So he would have finished on 58, but then lost 9 down to 49.
Right. Yeah. So that didn't help at all, did it? But you're right about next year. I think Keary will take over the ship, and that'll let him steady a bit. Because they've been through a few halves now, haven't they? Since good old Cooper.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't been able to settle on anyone. So, you know, it's probably time for them to stick with him. And like, I don't know what happened to. I haven't seen a bigger fall than I have from Flanagan. Like, he looked sharp. He looked good in Cronulla colours. And when they bought him the Roosters, I thought, yeah, this kid's going to be special. And yeah, he's just gone backwards at a rate of knots.
Yeah, now he
You
doesn't
think
even
that
look
was
like
just
a
because
first
he was
grader.
playing under his dad?
Yeah, maybe, because he just looked so free. He looked a bit like Sam Walker did at first, the running, the meters, taking on the forwards, not being afraid of anything. And then he just seemed to look overcoached towards the end, like he wouldn't even take on the line, and
I felt like the problem there was the pressure.
yeah,
Because the
definitely.
Roosters at the time, when he joined the Roosters, they were premiers.
Yeah, that's
So
right. And he was following
he had
Cooper
a
Cronk.
lot to prove going there. Yeah, like
Yeah,
he was replacing Cooper Cronk. Like, how can you expect a young kid like that to replace a player like what Cooper was?
yeah.
And all that pressure, all that media pressure, it just got to him. It was
Or do you
pretty
think maybe he's
unfair.
not that good? I don't know. What do you reckon? Do you think he's just not that good?
I thought
Like
he was. I wouldn't say he wasn't not good. I'd say
Yeah,
he was decent,
yeah,
not world beater, decent or good, but like he was. What's a good word? Serviceable, I
yeah.
guess.
I thought he was okay at the Roosters, to be honest with you. I didn't think he was that bad. I thought he took a really bad tumble this year, for the Dogs, in a side that was really struggling.
Yeah,
When he was with the Roosters, I still questioned once or twice. I thought, geez, he's not that bad. He kicks the ball. He gets him in the right spot. He seems to pass okay. He's a goal kicker. I thought he was going along all right. So obviously I'm not a coach. Because
I
Yeah,
think
well,
being
obviously, 'cause
dropped
I
at the
thought very
Roosters hurt
similar.
him.
yeah, exactly.
He was dropped 2/3 of the way through that season,
Yeah.
and he
yeah.
barely played again. I think
Yeah.
that was probably what
Killed him.
hurt him the most.
Yeah, shattered him. And then I'm sure but did you think he was going that bad? I don't know. Maybe I'm not that good a judge, but I thought he was going all right. I thought he was solid. I didn't think they'd drop
Yeah,
him. Let me put it that way.
I definitely think along the lines of Aaron, when you're in a team like the Roosters who expect perfection, you're following
Yeah.
Cooper Cronk. I just think it didn't quite work out because he was just a half. He wasn't a superstar, and I think it hurt his confidence. You talking about him getting dropped in that, and then he got replaced by Lamb, and it's just like, yeah, I think it just killed his confidence. And then going to the Bulldogs, it's not exactly a recipe for, helping you increase that confidence you lost.
Like, he was expected to turn that team around single-handedly, and he just
Yeah.
couldn't handle it. Because we look back to rounds 2, 3, and 4, where the Dogs didn't score a single point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something's wrong there.
Honestly, you could send Nathan Cleary into that team, and you're not gonna fix the place.
Too much pressure for the young kid, I reckon it was, and he just couldn't handle it.
What do you think of Burton next year with the Dogs?
I think unless they fix the roster in ways that they haven't done, particularly the forward pack and the hooker, they're just going to have similar issues. Burton will probably look a bit better because he's he's a very extremely strong runner of the ball in a way that a lot of halves aren't. So
and he's a good
help.
kicker.
Yeah, and his kicking game will help them win the field position battle in spite of their forward pack.
Yeah. Look,
if Burton is on sorry, if Burton is on Addo Carr's side of the field, that side of the field will form a pretty decent combination. But yeah, I still don't think they have it in the forwards or the hooker positions yet either. So they're one of those teams that'll probably just barely miss the bottom four, I reckon. I reckon there's enough improvement in there for them to just either scrape themselves out of the bottom four or finish just barely inside it.
Yeah.
It's,
Look, I think you're right. Somewhere between 9 and 12 or something like that. You know, 9 would be the
Burton will
best.
make a difference.
Yeah.
Addo
And-
Carr will also make a spectacular difference when he gets good ball in good position.
Yeah. Pangai Junior's there, of course. So they've signed a few.
That's a big win.
Yeah, Duffy. I mean, Duffy's inconsistent though, but you know he's better than one. Brent Naden. I wish we had kept him. Penrith. I just don't know why we didn't keep him. But
Did they sign Vaughan from the Dragons as well?
They did. Yeah. So they've got Vaughan. So they're solid.
They have signed guys, but it's especially that service from dummy half is what's going to be their big question.
King. Yeah, exactly.
Like
is Napa still going to be there? Or no, Napa got released, didn't he? He was one of the 11 that got released.
He's out. Yeah.
He's gone, and Bulldogs fans are celebrating that one.
But I mean, look, you've got is it Alviro? I can't remember his name. Is it Alviro? I can't remember how you pronounce his name.
Avarello,
that's the one. Yeah, Avarello and Burton. If anything goes wrong with Burton, then they're just, what have they got? Flanagan? Like, they're back to what they got this year. So you'd want Burton to be fit the whole year and to play a blinder almost every week. Because they've got no hooker. Marshall King is okay, but he's no world beater.
He's not Cameron Smith / Robbie Farah.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, you can see him getting to positions on the field, and you can see them getting there, but whether they can get over, they're going to have to play a lot more loose than they did, last year. I mean, last year, everyone credited, and even I was worried a little bit, to be honest with you, how well Barrett did, and he got that job on the strength of what we did in 2020, really. And his manager just hawked him everywhere across town, Wayne Beavers, and basically said, this is the next up-and-coming coach. Look at what he's done with Penrith's attack, and everyone looked at Penrith's attack and thought, beauty. I must admit, I did expect more out of the Bulldogs' attack, even though obviously they didn't have the same firepower. I did expect some patterns. I expected some runners. I expected some trick moves. I expected something. But they just seemed to throw the ball sideways all the time. Sideways, type, that's it. So it makes me question how good Barrett really is. Like he was good when he had Cleary and Luai and Appy and, Crichton and everybody else, running rings around everyone. But, he just didn't seem right at the Dogs. You'd think they would have thrown it more because they didn't have the players, so they might as well try a few set moves, do a few things. But anyway, I was disappointed with what they tossed up.
Yeah, because you'd think even if they weren't winning, you'd be able to see a picture of what they were working towards.
Yeah.
What they were trying to do, but there wasn't. Yeah. It looked like they weren't doing anything.
No. So, you do question how good Barrett is then. But, I mean, look at now. Everyone wants Seraldo, and who knows if he ever gets a starting job somewhere else, he might be looking good because of the players he's got rather than who he is. So you don't know until you're given a chance, I suppose. We'll see what happens this year. I think Barrett's last year, though, this year. If he doesn't succeed, I don't think he'll ever coach first grade again.
Yeah, no, he'll be done.
It's done. We won't want him back, so good luck.
Like Jason Taylor's one of those coaches who you'll never see coach first grade ever again.
Never. But, players hated him too, from what I heard. I mean, one of them punched him in the head, didn't they, when he was at South? Who was that?
I remember the story. I can't remember the player now.
Yeah, no, it'll come to me when I'm off the phone, but I can't remember. But anyway, I digress. Hey, guys, I better answer one more question and get going. My wife's going to be killing me. She's going to say,
that's all right.
What time is it?
This is what we do. We get off topic, so we'll go. We've kind of answered a couple of them anyway, but I guess we'll end on our thoughts for next year for the team.
Someone else go first. I talk too much.
That's all right, Aaron. What do you reckon as a Tigers fan?
Yeah, still in the top four. I've got you probably finishing second again. Much the same as this year. You'll be battling the Storm for the minor premiership, and the games you play against each other will probably be the ones that decide it.
Yeah, I'm not arguing too much with that. I think top four, thereabouts. I don't think we're going to have the record-breaking seasons or anything, but we're going to be really strong again.
And definitely back in the prelims again. As for
Yeah.
getting past the prelims, well, it depends if you have to play the Storm again or not.
And we're all convinced that the Storm are going to do well again next year. No Nico Hines. No,
it's hard to see
Finucane.
them not doing.
Yeah.
Although we say that every year, don't we? We say, "Oh, they've lost this person, they've lost that person."
I think they'll be all right until they eventually in 300 years lose Craig Bellamy.
Look,
yeah, I'm the same. I think that the success will remain until Bellamy calls it quits.
Yeah, I agree. He just has a knack of, like, no matter each. I would almost say I'm sure next year they'll miss the top four if it wasn't Bellamy, who's proven me wrong for the last 5 years. I've said the same thing. Oh, they've lost this guy, they've lost Cameron Smith, they've lost this boy, and you just every year you're convinced that they won't be able to back it up. But look, one year they won't, because it happens for everyone. Look at Brisbane. Eventually, one day they won't. But I'm with you, Blokes. I think it's when either they get busted again for the salary cap and they get all their points stripped off them. Even then, they would have made the top 8 had they.
They still smashed it that year.
Exactly,
I think
they did.
Yeah.
they still won like 15 or 16 or 17 games or something, which
nothing to play
easy
for.
top 4.
Yeah, awesome, absolutely brilliant. So I'm with you guys. I think they'll be in the top 4. I think Penrith will be in the top 4 again. I think I already said this earlier on. I think they'll make the top 4. I think they'll give it a shake, but like you two, I don't know if they can do another grand final. Everyone hopes they can. I think I wrote a column and said they think they can, but in all honesty, if I'm being fair, you can probably top 4 and we'll see what happens from there. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's the quality of opposition is going to be there, and they're hunted now. It's what happens.
Yeah,
Everyone
it's
wants
how hungry they'll be too. Will they turn up hungry? What'll happen with Kikau? If he's staying, he might kick on. If he's going, who knows what mindset he'll be in. Same with Appy. A lot will depend on how many, whether they can re-sign those two blokes.
Yeah,
I think they'll have a mindset what they might go into next year as well. So those things all come into play. So maybe in 2 months, 3 months' time, when we're heading in February to March, we'll know how long Cleary might be out for. Like, we don't want him to be out more than 1 or 2 games. I'd hate to see that, because 4 or 5 games without him is a lot to start the season. So yeah, there's too many question marks at the moment, but definitely top 4 for now.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens in a few months' time.
All right, well, we'll leave it there.
Thank you, boys. I could keep going and going, but I can also. The wife just came in and looked at me, and I went, "Okay, I'm coming." And we must do what we're told. Happy
That's
wife,
right.
happy life. Thanks for having me on, guys. Sorry I babbled on a bit too much. I'd love to come back again maybe next year and do a preview or something with you, Blake. So that'd be lovely.
Yeah, for sure. No worries.
We'll definitely be doing previews, so we'll have you down for that one.
Sounds good to me. Good on you.
Right.
Thanks very much, fellas. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
There we go. Peter Lang from the Western Weekender. Go search him up on Twitter. He's actually really good. Writes really good articles.
One of the journos that you can actually rely on, not to just spin an article for clicks.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that bothers me about a lot of the mainstream journalists now. Your buzzers and that. So, all right, where were we? So
that's all they do.
Yeah,
we were back to the Storm.
Yeah, we did. We kind of cut it out and went
Storm
to
Part
Penrith.
2.
Yes. Storm Part 2. But yes, so Western Weekender, Peter Lang, go search him up on Twitter. They said a lot less dramatic. You get a lot more of the positive stuff where they just talk about the team they like, and yes, it's more Panther centric, but it's nice even if it's not your team to actually read positive stuff. It gets so frustrating to just constantly be hounded by drama, someone's in crisis. Oh my god.
I'd direct your attention back to finals week 1.
It's funny that's the one that keeps coming up, but that's probably one of the worst examples in recent memory. Like, I think that the drama definitely peaked then. It's like they were really trying to milk the Tigers dry then. It's just like, and I think they noticed it too because it just dropped off a cliff all of a sudden as fans started really voicing it over social media, like what the absolute hell is going on. Like you could see it.
Like, come on, guys, there's a fucking final series to hype up.
And then it just dropped off a cliff. I think they caught on that people were starting to get fed up and the clicks must have dried up because it was like, it kind of peaked at crescendo and then just died after everyone started really getting up at them about it. Now I don't remember the last question we asked, so I'll just...
I think we were kind of just talking about them. I think we kind of answered the first two.
Yeah.
Where we were going, so let's just...
That's right, because I remember the highlight of the season we were talking about the point scoring records.
Yeah.
So the club's MVP, in our opinion.
We did do low light.
We didn't?
Nope, we just did highlight.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Low light, well, when you finish minor premiers and lose a prelim, you've got two options, I think. Either losing the prelim and the way it happened, or the back-to-back losses in rounds 2 and 3 to the Panthers and the Eels.
Yeah. I'm going to say that prelim to us, but not for losing. I'm going to say how they lost. The amount of... We mentioned it last week with how many errors there were in that game. That is something that's so unlike them. It was so undisciplined. They made like 18 errors or some ridiculous amount.
You guys made a fair few as well.
Yeah,
like it was
we
an
made a lot as well.
game.
It was one of those games, and that's what I mean. It's like if the Storm have a low light, it's a game like that where they're just making constant errors. Like the winger bloody drops the ball with an open line in front of him. Like it's just stuff that the Storm don't normally do.
What about that obstruction, Nelson Asofa Solomona just diving over the top of one of his other players?
I don't know, maybe they should award it just on style points. Like that was crazy. That was such a big traumatic thing, and like, yeah. But no, it was fun to watch. But man, it was like a big soccer slide tackle side type thing from Finucane into, I can't remember who the defender was now, but yeah. So that's my low light.
It was a heck of a no try.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it with style.
That was like the no try of the season.
Like I'm surprised the guy that big could get that weight that far off the ground like that. Like,
I say that was the no try of 2021. The no try of 2020 was Blake Ferguson leaping in the air and planting the ball down in the corner against the Tigers while he was still in midair. That was something to behold. I'm kind of glad it was a no try in the end. I don't remember why, but it was a no try, and I was very grateful for that.
Yes. Actually, our next question, Ash has his MVP was Paps, B. Smith, and Hines. So,
I'd say Pappenhausen. Yeah, hard to go past him.
I'm going to say,
considering how much time he spent out.
Yeah, I'm going to say Hines because he was replacing, their champion fullback, and he killed it. He had a really great year. He came out and, and he earned himself a contract on it, and the Storm didn't really miss Pappenhausen, not because Pappenhausen was bad, but because their backup did such a good job.
I mean, he spent a lot of time out too, like at least 8 weeks, I think it was. Because he got knocked into orbit in Magic Round. He got absolutely sent into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
And that's putting it lightly.
Yeah. Like that. Yeah, the one that knocked Pappenhausen out, that was bad. Like, for all the talk of high tackle crackdowns and all that, that's one that definitely deserved to...
Yeah, that one needed to go, and rightfully so, they did. What about Brookie?
I was just looking at that, I was about to ask you, is there anyone that stands out there? I mean, yeah, because
Iramaya, maybe?
yeah, I'd have to probably
They
go
didn't
with
really
that.
play that many.
No,
They
a
didn't,
lot of it they seem to have played a lot more like journeyman types, like Jennings and that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd say Iramaya, Trent Liero, or Max King were the names that I remember throughout the year that didn't look all that terrible.
Yeah, like we should be saying like Harry Grant, for example, but obviously he played last year for you guys, so
Yeah, he played a fair chunk of games last year.
so it's an interesting one. Bellamy does like his journeyman types, and then they promote a few here and there, play a few games. So
I don't think Seve's much of a rookie anymore, Ash. I think he's been around the
yeah,
block a few times.
I could be imagining that, but yeah, I think he has been.
Let me check. Actually, no, he's only played 21 games, but he also only played 2 games this year. So
No, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, Seve 21 career appearances. Yeah, playing just 2 games this year in rounds 23 and 25. 2019 he played 12, 27, 2020 he played 7, and yeah, this year just the 2.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a bit all over the place.
And he did his ACL as well, so he's going to be gone for a bit.
And even though he wasn't in our MVP, shout out to Justin Olam, who had just a really good year anyway. Just wanted to point that out. He gets missed a bit, I guess, in conversation sometimes. And I thought he's up there like with in that top probably 5 centers in the comp.
Like he plays inside Addo-Carr, and Addo-Carr very easily outshines most players who play inside him.
So it's easy to sort of forget that the center playing next to him because it's Josh Addo-Carr. I mean, they even did it with the Dally M's. Remember all that drama where he didn't get the invite.
I tell you what, though, yeah, he gave Addo-Carr a lot of good ball at a lot of times this season.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Just wanted to mention that just because I think he deserved it. Even though he's not my MVP, I still think he deserves a shout out. Honorable mention.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously our early thoughts, we kind of answered a bit already in our little discussion before.
Yeah, I have them. Yeah, I still have them finishing first. Like I said, I think the battle for first will be between you guys and them.
Yeah.
You'll probably lose. Both of you will lose about 3 to 5 games next season, and yeah, you'll be the top 2.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm not. It's just making me sad.
I don't know. Like I'm going to do it to myself again, and I'm going to be like, you know what, Tiger's going to be that little bit better because of the roster changes they've made. Literally going to do the exact same thing I did this year.
What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result?
Well, I mean, I am a Panthers fan who grew up a lot of my life in Queensland, so IQ points might not be through the roof.
Lost a few over the years.
Definitely lost a few. But no, I don't know. Well, this year I pinned it on. For me, it was James Tarmo. I thought the leadership factor would be a big deal, but obviously Madge's messages weren't getting through. But now they've actually gone, you know what? We actually need people who can play football. So they got Peachy, they got Hastings. They're just bringing players in who actually want to play football, and I think that'll make a difference.
And I'm curious to see how Gildart goes.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to watch a few of the Super League games I can find on KO that Wigan played, so I can see a little bit more of what Gildart's got to offer.
Well, we'll find a time and we'll watch it together.
Yeah, I like that idea.
We'll do it over Discord or whatever, and we'll have a watch because I'd be curious to see how he goes too. All right, well, we'll call it there for the Storm. All hail our overlords, I guess, from the last 10 years. Right.
One of the two.
Yeah, them and the Roosters are the kings and queens of the NRL. We'll leave chat to decide which one's which. And we'll move on to our last team of the top four, who get to be the last team, even though they weren't on the top. They weren't minor premiers and they didn't win the grand final, but we had our Panthers chat because Peter came on, which was awesome. Thoroughly enjoyed it and hope he comes back at some point.
Should have added like a silver medal or number 2 medal emoji type thing to the Rabbits screen here, just to rub it in a little bit as a Panthers fan.
Yeah, I could have, but I wanted to be nice, so I picked one that was actually a bit badass, where I went for the Monty Python scene where the rabbit actually kills the guy and bites his head off. So I thought I was actually trying to be nice to Rabbits fans. I was trying to give them something, because it'd be quite easy to just come out and go, "Ha, suck it, you lost." But that's not my style. I'm more than nice, guys. You can tell last year I was like, my whole thing was, let's make positive tips. Everyone's going to be better. Woo! And that didn't happen. So my solution was to do it again next year. This is what I do. I don't know. I want to see football fans happy, And in my train of thought is, the stronger every team is individually, like the more strong teams individually have, the stronger competition overall we have, which is better for my team anyway. Because then you're bringing in more sponsorship, the quality of the games up because you're getting more viewership, more people who want to play the game, so you bring more talent into the competition overall. It's better for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Souths, where did we predict them to finish?
Well, I got something right about this team. I predicted they would finish second. And I also predicted them to lose the grand final.
See, I'm just going to clip together these things and just be like, look how good we are at tipping. We are literally the best.
I mean, make sure you don't clip the part where I said Raiders were my winning grand final team. Because I had a Raiders Rabbits grand final and I had the Raiders winning it. So, I mean, I got the Rabbits losing it right part. I just picked the wrong opposition.
Yeah. No, I had them top 2 as well. Funny enough, I really thought they'd be good this year. I was a big fan of their forward pack, like massive. You'll hear me, especially talk about Cameron Murray a lot. Don't ever get me started on Cameron Murray. That boy does things to me. Like, he's one of my most highly rated players in the entire competition. Like, being serious for a second, like, the things he does for South is just insane. Like, he's probably got one of the quickest play the balls in the competition, and he's also one of the best defensive players in the competition. He can ball play. Like, it's ridiculous.
He's the ultimate package. He's your man crush.
Yeah, I always say it's just a shame he's the second best looking player in the competition.
Behind who?
You might know him well, David Nofaluma. If we could just somehow, like, this is the thing. If Nofaluma actually did get picked for Origin, this is what I always say. Why isn't Freddie considering this? Imagine how much better looking New South Wales would be compared to Queensland. Think about this for a minute. Like, it'd be an absolute walkover, an absolute shutout. But no, Freddie apparently doesn't consider these things in selecting representative squads. So, what do I know?
No. Nor does he consider selecting who was at the time a Dally M
Winger of the Year.
Winger of the Year.
To be fair, he played the Dally M player of the entire competition out of position.
Yes, he did.
So, I mean, it's it's not even just an insult to Nofaluma. It's just like Freddie was
playing favourites,
getting creative and being weird, and I don't know what the hell was going on. Maybe he had a few beers and wrote his list and then sent it off, and then the next morning woke up in a cold sweat, like, oh no, I need to fix that. But then it had already gone off and he couldn't fix it. Very locked in. Because yeah, that selections that you were, I don't even understand it. Like, and I think most people like that was such a crazy origin that year. That was the one everyone was saying. Like,
it really was.
Queensland's the worst Queensland team that ever played Origin, ever played football. You know, the Mount Druitt under sevens had beat them. Oh.
Like being played after the season as well.
Yeah, but it's New South Wales. If they picked the right team, they would have won that easily
in a canter.
Yeah, it would have been easy. But yeah, I think if Corey Thompson didn't get injured, he would have been on the wing, not Carl Felt. Ash said that. I'm not sure what's that in relation to.
Probably.
Oh, for Origin.
Is that Origin 2020 or 2021?
I don't think Corey Thompson's playing Origin. He's too small.
Yeah, well, that's why the Tigers sacked him, because they thought the new rules wouldn't suit the kind of player he is.
And he's not like Brian Toto small. Fun fact, Brian Toto weighs just over 100 kilos. Whereas Corey Thompson's like 30 kilos soaking wet. I love him as a player. He's really good. I just don't think he will get selected for Origin because, yeah. Ash said 21, so he's talking about 2021.
Okay, yeah.
I still don't see it happening, but maybe with their injuries, maybe. The annoying part about that is I was always one to argue that Carl Felt should play Origin, and then he does, and then he was shit. I'm like, thanks, Carl.
Yeah, that was one of those ones where it was like, yeah, how is that actually going to go?
Yeah. I think that it was just too late. I think if they picked him a bit earlier, he would have been all right. But, what can you do? Oh, like you said, Ash said Thompson was good before he got injured, better than Felt. Like, I'm not trying to insult Thompson. I actually really like him as a player. I think he's great.
I was one of the many Tigers fans who really disliked that the Tigers effed him off.
Yeah, like it's not an insult to him. I just don't think he'll play Origin, but that's not saying he's bad by any means.
If there's a Tiger who I want to see do well at another club, it is Corey, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So, what was their highlight of their season? That's a tough one.
I'd have to say the qualifying final.
Yeah.
They were not given much chance to beat you guys, and the way they went about it was huge credit to them.
Yeah, I can't disagree. That was, all the story was that I think they wouldn't win and all that sort of stuff, and then like the way they played was almost perfect football. There was very little. Like everyone says, the last game we played 3 weeks before that, they got robbed, which I don't think they did. And like people can argue with me all they want. Go on Twitter, argue with me, whatever. It's fine. I'll have the discussion with anyone. I don't
there was some pretty suspect refereeing, but I will say,
a lot of like the penalties started racking up, and they came from just bad discipline. Like there might have been some dodgy calls in there, whatever, but that happens every game. The penalty cap became
like that downtown call.
Like that downtown call is in the rules, but I don't know.
How often does it get enforced?
Yeah. It's typical NRL inconsistency, I guess. But the one thing
that's all you can put that down to.
It's the one thing we can actually rely on is them being inconsistent. But like they had 2 back-to-back face rubby penalties, which are always a penalty. Like if they get caught out, like when they're that obvious, the way they did them, like they're really obvious ones, they're going to be penalties. You know, like especially Walker has this thing when he gets frustrated.
Mm.
and he goes right off his game. You see it in, and I think even it might have been Sterlo who mentioned it during for the grand final, and where Walker is like really big ceiling, really high ceiling, and do great stuff on a football field. But he's got to be careful when he gets frustrated, because then he starts doing stupid stuff and getting into the niggly stuff, or he'll do things where he throws passes out, which happened in the grand final.
Yep.
So it's like that. It's the one thing my one downside about South I had all year was they can get undisciplined at times.
Roll was the perfect example of that.
Yep. All right. Number 3 was a low light of their season.
From a game result perspective, I'd say that period where they conceded 50 to both you guys and the Storm, not that far apart. But from the other perspective, the Latrell issues that they had all year, particularly round 6 against us and round 24, I think it was, against the Roosters. Like, he was bad in those games. It was pretty shocking.
Yeah. It's basically pick one of those. They were their really bad points this year. I'll take the 2 50-point losses. Just I was missing a lot of players, I guess, like we were around Origin and that, but just because they were, as a team as a whole, I think they were their worst times.
Yeah.
They weren't entirely at fault. They said their season was a bit. There you go, and then especially the team list against the Storm was particularly bad. But I don't want to single out the troll particularly. Which I could. That Manu stuff was pretty bad.
Don't forget elbowing Noffa in the bloody chin.
Yeah. There was definitely, at least looked, watching it on TV, it looked like there was intent. Whether there was or not, I don't know. Could be wrong, but yeah, it just, I don't know. He needs to get that stuff out of his game, because I've always said he could be one of the best players in the entire competition if he just does his thing. But I guess that's part of it.
He will be, for sure.
Like, I guess that's part of it. That's he gets wound up and tries to play hard and kind of comes out in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Which player was the club's MVP in our opinion?
Oof. Latrell also kicked Garner in the head.
Oh yeah,
he didn't connect, but that was very bad.
Well, there was the big argument around everyone saying he was just trying to get his foot free versus the side saying he tried to kick him in the head. So I don't know.
Well, it was the second thing he did to Garner. Like, Garner was holding on after he got after Latrell led with the knees when Garner went in for that try.
Yeah.
So Garner was getting a little bit back there, but yeah, Latrell's reaction was despicable, to say the least.
Justin, I'm glad as a Bronx fan that Latrell won't be playing against my side in round 1. There you go.
Yeah, we were debating last week, I think it was, when Latrell's suspension will actually end, because he has 2 weeks left where he'll be suspended. But I'm pretty sure if the All-Stars game is played, because he's eligible to play in the Indigenous All-Stars, one of his 2 weeks of his suspension will be that week, which means he'd miss the All-Stars game and round 1 and then be back for round 2.
We'll see how it goes. Let's just hope he's learned his lesson.
As for their player of the year,
I'm
I mean, they
torn
had a few
between
standouts.
Yeah, because they had such a good year, so it's one of those things where you're like, oh, who do I pick? I guess I would lean towards probably Cody Walker or Cam Murray, one of those two.
Yeah. I'd be leaning towards Walker as well. My problem with Walker is the way he plays the game and how dirty of a player he can actually be.
I
He has some moments where he is probably the grubbiest player on the field, and it's not a good look.
So it's like his potential ceiling is high, and when he turns it on, he can genuinely turn it on. But then he does that stuff too, so it's like I don't want to discount the good stuff he does. So I'll at least say Cameron Murray with Cody Walker as an honourable mention.
Yeah.
Who just needs to tidy himself up a bit in the discipline department. And also, it can't be understated the work that Adam Reynolds does with his game management.
Yeah, he will be a big loss, but they have a very adequate replacement after round 1 and or round 2.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling we're both about to talk about him.
Yeah, I guess. Well, we might as well. That's a good segue straight into question number 5 is promising rookie.
It's very hard to go past Taff.
Yeah, has to be. The way he applied himself in that final series was just, it was fantastic. It was great to see. I really enjoyed it.
With very minimal experience to that point as well.
Yeah, like even though we lost the game, to watch a full, like if you just step away from the team bias for a second and just watch that game, and from a football perspective, he was great. Like he dropped the first one.
He dropped that one ball, and everyone was like, "Uh-oh,
here it comes.
Is the pressure of finals going to get to him?" But no, he stepped up absolutely admirably after that, and more than redeemed himself.
Yeah, and from the rest of the game, he was great. I think he even got a try assist in there.
Like his maturity really stood out from that moment.
So yeah, that's for me. No, I'm past that one. And with a bit of luck, that kind of experience into this year will then make him a better player in the following years to come. Early thoughts on how they are shaping up for 2022.
Like you, I think that final spot in the top 4 is going to come down to them or Manly. And right now I have them bumping Manly down to 5th. So yeah, I have the Rabbits finishing 4th.
I will go a point of difference and switch that around.
Yeah, I knew you would, because you had Manly 4th, the Rabbits 5th.
Yeah. I think, even though I didn't name him MVP, as I said, I think it can't be understated the effect that someone like Adam Reynolds, with his game management and kicking game particularly, has on a team.
And how will Taff go through a whole season potentially of being that number 7?
Like, they have a quality team and good roster and all that. Like, that's the one thing I can't see in their roster is that kicking game. Like, we literally won games, or at least were saved in games, because of Nathan Cleary's long kicking.
Yeah, the kicking now is probably going to come down to Walker and possibly a little bit of Latrell.
Yeah, like someone's going to have to do that. And even if it's a combination of them, you're not going to get the precision of Adam Reynolds. It's just not going to happen. So then you've got to make that up somewhere else. So their forwards are going to have to be that 1% better or whatever it might be.
And they also lose a lot from the conversions and field goal department.
Like you look at that, right? Without Reynolds, they lose to you guys in that first game.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, little things like that. They'll have moments like that through a season where they'll need an Adam Reynolds and he won't be there. And they'll lose the game because of it. They'll have other games where their stars will all step up and they'll win by 20 points.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
How are they going to go with the new coach as well? Dimitriou, I think is his name.
Yeah. So, and that's what I think is going to happen. So I think they'll be good, but not. Yeah, I think they'll just miss out on the top 4.
Like I said earlier, regardless of which order the Rabbits and Eagles finish in, the top 5 will be essentially a top 4 with one unlucky team to miss out.
Yeah, a situation of, well, you just can't fit everyone in.
All 5 teams will be top 4 material.
Yeah.
And just one of them won't be able to fit in.
Yeah, I'm happy enough.
And I agree with you, Justin. Defensively, Taff is going to be tested quite a lot in the halves. Obviously, there's a lot less work to do defensively at fullback. And he'll obviously most likely play the first round there while Latrell's out suspended, at least. And they'll probably have, Ilias as the 7 for that first game. But yeah, like I said, I think last week, I think Taff will be training this preseason as a half. And he'll just be required to fill that number 1.
Alluded to, he said, who will be the centre pairings for South? Obviously they've just lost Gay Guy. So again, it's another, he had a really good end to the season. Like, everyone makes the jokes about his origin form versus club form, but he had a fantastic end to the year. So it's another quality player that they're losing. Just those little chips there in the arm, or whatever you want to call it, I think will do it for me. But we'll see.
I think Graham and Milne. Cheekham is not a centre. He can fill in as a centre, but he is a second rower.
Yeah, that's
if you put him in the centres, he'll do a job, but he won't be great at it. He is much more a second rower, like a bench impact second rower. I think they've pretty much signed him just for the depth that he will provide them.
Yeah. All right. I think we've been through them all, and we're nearing 10 o'clock our time. So,
I am getting hungry.
And I am getting tired. I've got work again in the morning.
Same.
So this is what happens when you're just fans of the game. Just spending your spare time. We don't get paid for this. Go us. But hey, make sure
although if we could eventually get enough subs to be monetized and actually get paid for this, that'd be swell.
That'd be great. So subscribe, share it around, like the video. YouTube likes those things. People don't say these things on their videos whenever they make videos for the sake of it. It's because of the way the YouTube system works. If it didn't, people wouldn't say it. So
please get us monetized.
And like, from my perspective, I like when the chat's moving, and I like the conversation. I like engaging with other fans. So get out there and share the video around social media and say, hey, there's these awesome Catbros guys somehow coexisting as Tiger and Panthers supporters.
Yeah, how is that possible?
If Leichhardt's the 8th wonder of the world, we're the 9th. Or we're the 10th. I don't know. I've lost count now. It's too late at night. How many wonders are we up to, Dan?
But yeah, we've been enjoying it, and it's been great fun. This is episode 10, so we've been doing this for a little like 2.5 months now, and
still learning some of the.
We're having fun doing it.
Yeah, still learning some of the production side of it, especially with Discord. Oh my god, the amount of stuff I'm learning about Discord is crazy. I'm like, what does that button do? It's self-destruct.
Oh, and what about last week's not going live from the start?
Yeah,
that was unfortunate.
That was, like I said, crazy stuff happening all tonight. When Peter came in and Discord had a fit, and then I had to readjust the screen, so you'll see it if you go back when he comes in, and I have to adjust it, and it's like, oh my god, what are you doing to me, Discord? So, but it's good fun. Hopefully we get more people subscribe. Like I said, subscribe, like, share, do all those fun things. Get more people to come chat. And the good people will get onto the Discord. We don't want the trolls on there. We are a couple of guys with massive social anxiety disorder, so a bit of a weird contradiction thing happening there. Like, how does that work? But
we're giving it a crack, and we're having fun doing it, so that's what matters.
It's good fun. All right, guys, thanks for coming out, and we will catch you next time. And just don't forget as well, the video does archive on YouTube, so then you can watch it back later, comment on the video.
Yes,
well.
Also, thank you everyone for joining us. Yeah, I hadn't said this yet, but it's been really good to actually have some people in the chat and being able to interact with you guys and watch you guys have conversations while we've been gas bagging as well. It's been a good night.
The
Keep
last
this going.
2 weeks with guests, and then tonight with a guest and chat, like it's been fantastic. It's been amazing, like a fantastic experience. I've had so much fun with it.
Now let's see how we back it up next week. See if we can do better than the Tigers and actually back up a couple good performances with another one.
2 in a row, jeez, it's a tough ask.
No, we've got the 2 in a row. It's the 3 in a row that they struggle to get, and now it's our turn to try.
All right. I might need a few F words. Let's get some mad swearing happening. All right. Night, guys.